evening, everyone. I'm Mike Veasey, and welcome to Mike's Alternate Reality Show, the talk show I put together to talk to creative people that are out there pursuing their passions. Got a great show for you tonight. I'll be talking to Vinnie Nardiello, a comedian, playwright, and podcaster who has co-written a short film that can currently be seen on Amazon Prime. Let's take a look at the trailer for that movie, Duppet, and then we'll come back and meet Vinnie via Zoom.
You know, it's like I'm in this huge body of water, and I've got all these little flotation devices around me. And some are, you know, your family, some of your friends, some of your career, and then, you know, when one sinks, float over the next one, and that keeps you around for a while. What happens if they all sink? 45 minutes are up. Really? You've been a lot of fun. Have a good night.
Sometimes I feel cold, even paralyzed. My interior world needs to sanitize.
Really extraordinary. It was wonderful. I loved it. It was funny and it was poignant, and those are the two things that I think are so hard to combine, funny and poignant, and you did it. You pulled it off.
Hey, you're almost out of money.
And the interesting thing that I was marveling over with Duppet was that the hardest thing to get across to people who've not experienced depression is what it feels like and how your mind works, and you guys came up with such a perfect solve for that.
So what's the deal? How come you haven't been hanging out with us?
Let's face it, people have an expectation and you're just not meeting it.
Did you just see that whole thing? That was hilarious.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
did.
I appreciate it. But you guys know you can just contact me and I can get you
It's
in.
the only way that we can see you nowadays.
Those days are gone. Hey, they want this guy. Might as well let people remember you that way, you know?
I actually just appreciate you guys coming out.
I didn't know that you were seeing a therapist. That's great.
It's better. Why don't you scroll through some old friends' photos back from, you know, when you were happy?
You got a lot of catching up to do.
You can't run from all your problems.
Come on, man. This is my time.
But I can hear my way around. No, I don't know which way I'm going, but I can hear my way around. No, I don't know which way I'm going, but I can hear my way around. But I can hear my way around. Nice to know my kind will be on my side. I don't believe the hype, and you know you're
Duppet is beautiful. I mean, that is really beautiful work.
Hi, everyone. Well, that was the trailer for the short film Duppet, which can currently be seen on Amazon Prime. We're now going to meet the co-writer of that movie. Please welcome comedian, playwright, and podcaster, Vinnie Nardiello. Vinnie,
Thanks, Mike.
how's it going?
I'm good.
Good.
Just so you know, my kids are in the room. They're in the bedroom next door. I put them to bed, but I hear them screaming. So there is a chance I'm gonna have to get up and yell at kids. I just want everybody who's watching to know,
Okay.
I'm their father. I'm just putting them to bed. This is not gonna be a horrible act of child abuse you're witnessing if you hear me yelling. Okay.
Okay. Good to
Yes.
know.
Just want everybody to know. Everybody's safe here.
Good to know. Yeah, I attend a lot of meetings in the daytime
Mhm.
doing my day job, and it's always dogs and cats. Like either my dog goes crazy because the mailman comes to the door, or my coworker's cat just walks across the screen, right across.
Yeah, something I've noticed in all the Zoom of the past year is you'll hear a dog, but cats. I've seen a tremendous amount of cat butthole in the last year.
Yeah.
There's just always a cat walking across somebody's computer screen, tail up.
Yep. So this is very exciting to me. Tell me about Dump It, your short film on Amazon.
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Duppet. something I wrote with my friend John Poveromo, who's another comedian and also podcaster. And this is about depression,
About
actually.
depression.
Yeah, and what we did was we used a puppet to kind of embody depression, and some people have spoken to us about it that um, it really just captures the feeling that you have with depression. You just have someone always in your ear, always
Mhm.
talking to you, always trying to you know cast doubt on you, and doing it with a puppet is you know just kind of an imaginative way of doing it. We even hosted a like a little mental health seminar
Oh
a couple
wow.
of weeks ago, and we watched the movie, and then we spoke to a clinical psychologist, a wellness expert, and another great comedian, Gary Goldman, was our guest on there. Gary had a HBO special
That's right.
about depression, yeah, called The Great Depression. And we all, people went on. We spoke about like, in some ways using the idea of, you know, having this presence with you at all times, a little, cute little puppet with you all the time. It's almost a great way to communicate, how you're feeling. Cause I don't know if you've ever, been through depression, but it is often hard to tell other people, what you feel and what the experience is like. If they haven't suffered from it themselves, it can be kind of an abstract idea. We took the abstract and tried to show it on film. So yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Look for Duppet and you know rave. Tell everybody how much you love it. Share it online. To go call any TV network you could think of and demand that it be turned into a television series on air.
Yeah.
Write if you have to. Take to the streets.
All right. I mean, hey, another thing to do is just play it. Like,
Well, yeah, it's another thing you could do too.
even if I'm
If you're
not
not
in the
willing to
room,
riot.
just play it over and over again. I had a friend whose documentary was on last year, and whenever I was not doing anything, I just pop it on just to give her another
Mhm.
hit. So tell me about writing that thing. I mean, you obviously put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah,
Did you consult psychologists or therapists or anybody like that before
I'm
you
gonna.
wrote it?
I'd be lying if I said yes.
Okay.
But it's funny. We did it. We just John and I both at different times of our lives have had depression. We kind of put our own experience into it, and it's just kind of interesting that we didn't intend for it to be something that mental health people would say you're capturing it, but just kind of seemed to work out that way.
Good.
Uh, so now we're kind of lying and pretending we're much smarter than we actually are, and like we always intended it, and did a lot of research. Um, if we were to go further with it as a series and develop it further, I think we would probably bring in hopefully some mental health professionals to be part of it and help us um, develop it and be accurate with it.
Yeah.
I think mental health is after what we've been through the last year.
Oh, it's
Um,
big. Yeah.
it's going to be big, and I think a lot of people are going to be, um, understanding it more. I think you have people who never suffered depression before are now going like, why do I feel this way? What is this? Why am I,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
am I having these feelings?
How did you handle the puppetry involved in making a movie about a puppet?
You know what? We actually had a decent puppet, and one of John's good friends is he's very into puppetry. He's an artist, so he created puppet and he voiced it too. You know, I don't know how he is as a puppeteer, but he definitely you know the the puppet looks nice at the very
Right.
least.
It's so great to have a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's still it's been really torturous and
Yeah, I feel like everybody had this idea that like as soon as we were vaccinated, we're gonna run out in the streets and hug each other and make out with a stranger and go lick anything we could think of. But it's kind of funny because now so many of us are vaccinated, yet the going back to normal now feels almost daunting.
little
Like,
slow, little
yeah,
slow.
it wasn't that immediate like run back to normal. Now it's taking a little bit to mentally go like, all right, I'm ready to be around people. I feel okay to be around people. I feel safe to be around people. I'm vaccinated, but I still have that little bit of nervousness when I see a crowd now, just because I spent the last year going, crowd's bad, crowd's bad, crowd's bad.
I don't know if you want. I working from home has rekindled my love of Let's Make a Deal, which airs at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's your built-in coffee break, pretty much.
Yeah. So for months it was repeats of crowds, but then they had a new system to do it. So they had like about a dozen people scattered around a studio, And then after about 2 months of that, they showed a repeat of a full crowd, like 300 people sitting on top. I was like, "Whoa, what happened?"
I know it's jarring. You feel like you're watching like Mad Max or something, some like weird like post-apocalyptic thing. Like, wait, what are these people doing? Stop! Don't they know?
Do that?
Yeah.
You can't hug Wayne Brady. Are you out of your mind?
I don't. That penguin suit will not protect you, please.
So, well, listen, you've done so much. You've been a pretty successful stand-up comedian. You've toured the country, I believe. No?
Yeah. I mean, I've I worked pretty regularly in comedy for 15 years. Admittedly, last year I've not done any stand-up, at least on person. I've done like some Zoom shows here and there.
Yeah.
And just like I've been telling you about how getting back out into the world is hard. I find myself right now thinking about how do I go back to stand-up? And now I'm having people who are starting to call me again about doing shows, doing gigs, and I'm getting into it. I thought for sure, like, all right, as soon as I can work. I mean, look, there were some people who worked all along. There was people who, they had to. I did not. I was lucky enough to not need to tour, but I had friends who basically went out and they knew that this was a risk going out. They didn't have that. But they still went because they need to earn a living, and I understood that. I was lucky enough to not be in that position, but now that things are getting back, I'm wrestling with how do I, how do I do stand up again after what the last year has been like? Like, do I go back and do the material I did before because it feels false now? Like it just feels like like going back to talking about life being normal seems just so so strange now. Like it would be hard for me to not feel like I'm completely full of shit.
Well, my stand-up act, I've gravitated to it a storytelling style,
Mm-hmm.
But when I tell a story, even if it took place 5 years ago, I like to say, "Oh my goodness, the other day I was."
I know, of course, yeah. Like, no, you weren't on a plane, you maniac. Get away from us.
So I've got so many stories. I'm like, yeah, this happened. I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
breaks everything.
Well, I know that you're probably not looking for a downer right now in here, but my mother passed away during this.
Yeah, mine did too.
Okay, yeah, so how hard it is. And there's references to my mother in my act, and I'm going like, all right, do I just lose all those jokes? I pretend my mother's alive? Do I?
Yeah. I've dealt with it with my mother. I've enjoyed keeping dogs alive. Like I love telling stories about my dog that took place when he was alive, 10 years ago, but I get to keep him alive. But with my mom, it'll be different. I haven't done that much about my mom, so it won't be as much a challenge for me.
Yeah, like I'm not saying like my mother was like a prominent part of my act, but I definitely had jokes that my mom's there, and I could pretend she's still around, but I know as soon as I talk about like my mom and my act, it'd be hard for me not to think about like that she's gone, and I'm lying here.
Yeah, I think that's something you'll decide or discover on stage. I don't think there's any way to.
What if I just like brought the crowd completely down, and like every time I mentioned my mom, I just like went into like a really long like bit about her dying. Like I just started like getting like really graphic and like.
Well, you could, if you're gonna do that, I would have the puppet do it.
Yeah, good idea.
Bring that puppet in from.
Good idea. Instead of just like pull the obituary out and read from it. No.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your playwriting. That's what I wanted to. Talk about. Have you always written plays, or is that something you've?
I had a play that ran at Theater for the New City. Right about, I guess it's been 5 years now, called The Boom. That was about stand-up comedy.
Yep.
And it wound up doing it as a play because I wrote a screenplay and then realized that you need money to do a screenplay.
Yeah.
Like to do a movie, you need money. And I was like, all right, well, let me just try this as a stage play. It worked. And so I submitted to a couple festivals. I submitted to Theater for the New City, and being able to stage a play for, like a 2-week run costs far less
Oh
than
yeah.
doing a movie,
Yes, it does.
you know? And I know that sounds like, the, you know, maybe not the, artistic answer there, but the reality is you want to get your work seen, you want to get it out there, and you have to kind of figure economics is a huge part of it.
Yeah, I've done the
And
same thing. I've
yeah,
written screenplays since college, and I
mhm,
could show you a dozen screenplays. But I got into playwriting about 15 years ago, just because someone said, "Hey, Mike, you want to submit a one act for our festival?"
yeah.
Okay, here,
On the other end of it, doing the experience of doing uh, you know, a play for, a couple weeks there, I fell in love with it. And I was not a theater guy. And by that, I mean, like, I love theater going, but I was not the kid who was in the school plays.
hmm
I never had any real experience with that. Like the only time I had anything to do with like live theater was, doing stand-up comedy, which is completely different. And when I was 8 years old, I played Jiminy Cricket in my school's production of Pinocchio. Like that's my theatrical experience there. But I really enjoyed the whole experience. Like I liked I liked the smallness of it. I did like that. It's just like a few actors, director, and you're collaborating and kind of bringing this thing to life. And theater is it's almost like a magic trick in a way.
oh yeah,
I know it sounds like a weird way to explain it, but like, everybody who's seeing the audience, they know that there's so much more that goes into the illusion of a film. Whereas theater, you're creating illusion right in front of people, and you're bringing them to a place where they're going to, um, I guess, take that leap with you, and this thing done in front of you, to them it's not silly. Now it's real.
well,
And I remember the opening night, the thing that made me go like, oh, I love this venue, I love this form, I love doing theater, was at one point our main character, who's battling alcoholism, gets up to go get a beer, and someone in the audience goes, no, don't, like they yelled out, no, don't, and having that kind of response from somebody who right there, she knows better, she knows this is just a play, it's happening right in front of her, and these are, but that she was willing to suspend her disbelief there made me go like, oh, I really like theater. And since then I've written I'm working on a series of one acts now that I'm hoping to stage at some point, um, when theater really comes back. We've done a couple readings. I was in a festival with one of the one acts 2 weeks ago, but still, it's all Zoom readings at this point.
at this
But yeah, it's called it's a collection of it's four one acts, and I'm calling it Diving Horse, and it's about being a parent. You know, it's funny. 5 years ago, I was writing about comedy because that was my world then, was stand-up comedy.
yeah.
Since then, I have two kids, and now I'm writing about about parenthood and a perspective on that, because it's I wrote it during the pandemic, and I was having no other experiences other than being a parent during that time. So that's what I gravitated towards writing.
Excellent. Well, tell me about the podcast, the DJS Community Theater, which can be seen on the twitch.tv channel.
Yes, on Tuesday nights at 8:30. We're going, yeah, I during all this, while all the comedians had nothing to do really. My friends, Richie Byrne, who's a good friend of yours, one of your oldest friends, right? And Mark Riccadonna, they had a podcast that they then started live streaming on Twitch, and they kind of started like a network of comedians, just comedians who wanted to work, and they, so we have a lot of shows on this network, a lot of different shows on this network. Some deal with pop culture, some are about marijuana. We have a sports show on there,
I think it's a
and
different job, as a content aggregator, whatever you want to call it. I think they're doing a great job.
yeah. So I started doing the DJS Drink Joke Storytelling Community Theater, and we're bringing playwrights on, and interviewing them, doing readings of their plays, and I think I'm enjoying it. It's new. We're still expanding. We're still trying to get out there, but everyone's really enjoyed it, and who's participated. And I think that what I'm looking forward to exploring is the idea of you know Zoom almost as a legitimate way of doing theater in the future.
It's going to be something. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be. It's already. I'm seeing auditions for live productions that are like, okay, rehearsals on Zoom. Yeah.
We're never gonna have an in-person table read ever again. Like the initial table read is always going to be on Zoom. I'm convinced. We're never going to go back to we all have to get together and do this in person until you'll start doing that when it's time to block.
Yeah.
Then
you guys read my play on the channel. I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience. My actors enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I said I think that one of the things that comes from the shutdown, if there is one benefit, is we've now found new ways of doing things that are more convenient and open up new opportunities that weren't there before. The idea that you can do theater from home. Yeah, there's going to still be live theater, but it's going to just be a different avenue, a different way of doing things, a different way of getting your work out there. And I think it can only be beneficial, and it's funny. I've had this discussion. When you were on the show, we talked about it.
Yeah.
And then when I had another show with people who they kind of admittedly they kind of poo-pooed the whole idea of theater over Zoom. And I don't know. I disagree. I think that there'll be live theater and there's going to be Zoom theater. I think we're going to see 1 million shows next year that will they're going to use Zoom to tell their story. It's going to be a story about an office happy hour that took place virtually. It's no longer going to just be like, oh, we have to do this. Now it's going to be, all right, well, this is what we have. Let's use it. Let's use this technology to tell our story too. Because why not? Our world is existing on Zoom. You see your friends on Zoom now. You see your coworkers on Zoom now. Why not? Why not tell a story through there?
Yeah. I think
if that's where life is existing now too, why not?
Yeah. Well, Vinny, it's been great chatting with you, man.
I've enjoyed this. Yes, I'm not going. I'm gonna stay on even longer. That's how much I've enjoyed this.
Okay, well, good.
Well, like I said, we could plug Duppet on Amazon Prime one more time because that's the thing I'm, and then also DJS Community Theater on the Drink Strokes the Storytelling channel on Twitch.
On Twitch.tv.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Vinny. We will talk again soon.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
I do encourage you to find Vinnie Nardiello on social media. He's a very funny guy, and he should be performing in the area very soon. In the spirit of puppets and comedy, I now present to you a video of a puppet performing my act. Check it out. So we just got through the holidays, right? We had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, we had New Year's, but I found a new holiday this year. There was something mixed in, somewhere between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I was walking through Bryant Park. It was a beautiful day, one of those beautiful days that we had last Sunday. And some college kids behind a table, giving out free cupcakes. I'm like, oh, hey, can I have free cupcakes? So yeah. So I take a cupcake, and I say thank you, and I bite into it, and they say, have you heard about Trans Awareness Day? Like, oh man, that cupcake was not free. The purple icing should have been a tip off. But I'm like, no, oh yeah, you gotta tell people your pronoun of choice. And then you've gotta ask people for their pronoun of choice. And then you've gotta be sure to use people's pronouns of choice. I'm like, all right, in all fairness, that was good advice, something I never thought about. Times have changed. I'm like, you know what? Thank you very much. And I go to leave and they're like, wait! And they had me not one, not two, but 3 full-color, 2-sided printouts about Trans Awareness Day and pronouns and stuff. And I'm like, wow. I took classes in college that didn't have this much reading material. I remember that distinctly because that's why I took those classes in college. And I'm like, all right. Thank you very much. Thanks for the cupcake. Thanks for this. Wait. And they hand me a Sharpie and a button. And they're like, You gotta write down your pronoun of choice and wear it so everyone will know your pronouns of choice. And this is where I got stuck. Because honestly, I really didn't know what a pronoun was. Schoolhouse Rock didn't have a song for that. I didn't want to offend, I didn't want to say the wrong thing, because, you know, as an old white dude, most of the things I say are wrong. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What do you got for heterosexual white dudes? Well, they recommended he, him, his. And that's what I did. I wore that button, but I did read the material. There's some other pronouns I'm thinking about trying out. So. All right, everyone. Well, before we wrap it up, I want to thank you for watching Mike's Alternate Reality Show. I want to thank my guest, Vinnie Nardiello, and I want to present a music video by my good friend Amy Ami, who performs some disco on a ukulele. I'll see you next time. Good night.
Listen to the ground, there is movement all around. There is something going down, and I can feel it. On the waves of the air, there is dancing out there. If it's something we can share, we can steal it. And that sweet city woman, she moves through the light, controlling my mind and my soul. Reach out for me, girl, 'cause the feeling is right. Night fever, we know how to do it. Give me that night fever, we know how to show it. Here I am, praying for this moment to last, living on the music so fine, born on the wind, making it night. Night fever, we know how to do it. Give me that night fever, we know how to show it. In the heat of a love, don't need no help for us to make it. Give me just enough to take us to the morning. I got fire in the mind, I get higher in my walking, and I'm glowing in the dark, I give you warning. And that sweet city woman, she moves through the light, controlling my mind and my soul. Reach out for me, girl, 'cause the feeling is right. Night fever, we know how to do it. Give me that night fever, we know how to show it. Night fever, we know how to do it. Give me that night fever, we know how to show it. Night fever, we know how to do it. Give me that night fever, we know how to show it.